And welcome back to Subculture on Central Coast Radio. Now, this week I had the honor of being able to go and review a show thanks to Live Nation. I had the opportunity to go and check out Jon Stevens, CYNDI LAUPER, and Rod Stewart at Rod Laver Arena. And I've got to say, wow, what a show. This felt like it was three concerts in one. Uh, Jon Stevens got up first and he did a bunch of tracks from Noiseworks and In Excess, and they're amazing. And I've got to take my hat off to him because he did have a bit of a bad throat. He apologized for it a couple of times, but apart from when he was talking, you could not tell at all. And he did some amazing versions of the tracks, especially when you consider the way that his voice was going. One of my highlights for me was "Don't Change," the In Excess song. It is one of my favorite songs, and he did an absolutely amazing version of it on the night with it with an all Melbourne band. He said as well, so that's was pretty good for everybody that was there. He was able to talk about that a few times during the night, but he also did a lot of Noiseworks songs, of course, as well, and amazing jobs on all of those. He kicked off the night with Touch, and the crowd got into it straight away. I did feel for him a little bit because the crowd hadn't quite filled up when he hit the stage, but he did an amazing version of Touch, and that brought everybody in. He did No Lies, which was absolutely fantastic as well. He did a fantastic version of Hot Chili Woman that I noticed got everybody up out of their seats and they were dancing along as well. And then, of course, Jon Stevens left the stage and on came CYNDI LAUPER. Now, I have for a long time been a CYNDI LAUPER fan. Her music meant so much to me when I was growing up. I can remember loving her music even as a small child. I can remember hearing time after time on an advertising ad for Police Rescue, the ABC television show, and I had to know who the artist was. I fell in love with the track straight away. I was walking around the house humming it. I asked my parents who the artist was, and my dad had some CYNDI LAUPER, so I had the opportunity to sit down and listen to her music, and I have loved her music over time. And I was so excited to be able to see her last night. Like going into the concert, I think I was almost more excited to be seeing CYNDI LAUPER than I was Rod Stewart. I love Rod Stewart's music, but I'd never seen CYNDI LAUPER before, so there was that anticipation of finally getting to see her. And she did not disappoint. She is nearly 70 years of age. She came out on stage with a purple mohawk. It is so easy to see how artists like Pink have emulated her almost with her as their mentor over the years, because she was one of those original girl power artists, and she did such a fantastic job last night. If you didn't know how old she was, you would never have been able to guess how old she was by her performance, because her voice is the same way as what it was when she was recording all these hits. She was all over the stage. She was climbing up on amp stacks and everything. She did such a fantastic job. Now, when it came to the tracks that she did, She Bop was absolutely fantastic. I think that was one of my favorites of the night. She did a little bit of a tribute to the Goonies with The Goonies Are Good Enough. Then she did tracks like Time After Time, I Drove All Night, which was another one that I absolutely adored. And I think for me, the one that basically showed just how emotional her set was last night was when she did Sally's Pigeons. She did such an amazing job on that track. She made it such an emotional song, and it is such an emotional song, but she performed it so well. I think one of the things that really stood out to me last night too with her performance was just how many instruments that she can play on the stage as well. She had the flute, she had another stringed instrument as well that sat in front of her. I don't know what it was called, but she did an amazing job whenever she was playing it. There was so much to love about CYNDI LAUPER's performance. And then out came the main act for the night, Rod Stewart. Now, I had a friend with me last night, and he said the last time he saw Rod Stewart, he said he was kind of disappointed because he felt like Rod was going through the motions with his show. That was definitely not the case last night. And that's what my friend said at the end of the night. Rod Stewart was on fire last night. There was so much passion in what he was doing. Um, Before he came out, it just erupted. The bagpipes started playing, of course, to honor Sir Rod's Celtic and Scottish background. And the crowd just erupted. And then out he came with his backing singers, and he performed Addicted to Love. And he did such an amazing job on the song. And he had everybody in the palm of his hands from that moment. He then took us like on a little bit of a journey through his career. From then, he would stop and talk before songs. So he went back and did songs from Faces, like Ooh La La, and he would explain where he was at that time and everything. And it was great. It added an element to it. It actually felt like Sir Rod was taking us on a musical journey, and that, in a way, I guess, is what he was doing. He went back and did tracks from artists that have inspired him over the years. He did a brilliant version of Muddy Waters' "Rollin' and Tumblin'." He did Sam Cooke's "Twisting the Night Away," and those songs really, really brought his brass band part, the brass band part of his band, to life. They were just brilliant. I'm not always a big fan of the saxophone, but man, his saxophonist was on fire last night. He did an absolutely amazing job. Um, Tracks like Young Turks and Rhythm of My Heart had a bit of a political message to them. And I guess that was one of the things that we did realize last night was how many tracks of Rod Stewart's over the years have meant a lot to a lot of people. A lot of people kind of just see him as the sex symbol kind of performer, but Rod Stewart's music over the years has um, really been political. There's been a lot of things that he's done where it's he's made a statement with his music, and he showed that last night. Like I said, with Young Turks, Rhythm of My Heart, he also did a version of People Get Ready, the Impression song, and he made them political. And I think that was one of the things that we all learnt last night about Rod Stewart. There is a serious side to his music. He's not just the sex symbol singer that I think a lot of people have seen him as over the years. The other things I loved last night was how many things he did differently as well with his band. He had a lot of Celtic instruments, Celtic violin. He had a harp, and the person playing the harp, she did such a fantastic job all night. This was an absolutely amazing concert. Sometimes when an artist doesn't perform one of my favorite tracks, I kind of get a little bit disappointed, but he didn't perform Downtown Train last night, which is my all-time favorite Rod Stewart song. But I didn't care. I loved everything else that he did on the night. There was so many tracks that I was singing along to. I think if I had to pick a favorite for the night, it was probably his version of The First Cut Is the Deepest. He did such an amazing job on that track live last night. It was really kind of haunting. I love seeing Maggie May perform live as well, a song that I grew up to, another song that meant a lot to me when we were a kid. We actually named one of our dogs Maggie May at one point when I was growing up. His version of It Takes Two last night was fantastic as well. He brought forward one of his backing singers, and they did an absolutely amazing job. I've seen artists like Robbie Williams and that over the years that call themselves showmen, and I have to say, last night's performance by Rod Stewart was right up there with those artists that call themselves performers, showmen, because his concert last night was absolutely amazing. So if you get the opportunity while they're still here in Australia, go and see CYNDI LAUPER, Rod Stewart, and Jon Stevens, because it is an absolutely amazing night. It feels like three concerts in one. And you'll never look at Rod Stewart and CYNDI LAUPER the same way again. You will walk away from this going, oh, wow, I did not realize they could do that live, because they are absolutely fantastic. So to quote Molly Meldrum, do yourself a favor and go along and check out these shows while they're in Australia, because they are absolutely fantastic.